Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Starfinder Flip Tiles Space Station Emergency Expansion Set. So this is a new product for the Starfinder role-playing game put out by Paizo Publishing. Speaking of Paizo Publishing, they did send this to me for the purposes of doing this review. However, they are not influencing the review, they're not giving me a script to read off of, and they're not pre-screening the video before it goes out. So the opinions that I express in this video are 100% completely and totally my own, but I do want to thank them for sending this out to me. So a little while ago I did my review video for the Starfinder Space Station Flip Tile base set, and I was really liked that product. I just think that these are always really cool things to have, and I love flip mats, and the flip tiles I think are great because they make it easier to use these minis and use, or pawns or whatever you use to represent your characters and your enemies in combat on a smaller playing surface. So if you can't fold out the entire, like 24 by 30 inch or whatever it is, flip mat, then you could just, put a few of these tiles together in a much smaller play area, and they work really well. So that's one of my favorite things about these. But the base set was just that. It was just standard corridors and rooms. It was, enough to get you started, but these expansions are more specified, sort of like terrain types or environment types, or in this case, emergencies. So this contains 24 full color tiles, and they are, I think they are standard 6 by 6, like 6 inches by 6 inches. And they are usable with wet erase, dry erase, and permanent markers. So if you put a permanent mark on there, to get rid of it, all you do is rub a dry erase marker over it, wait a few seconds, and then you can just wipe it right off the tile. I've never done it myself. I don't have a permanent marker that isn't completely dried out, but I have had people say that it does work, so I will take their word for it. All right, so on the back it just says Red Alert. There's an emergency in space. Next time your players are ready to explore a space station's depths, they won't have to wait while you draw dangers in the next corridor or compartment. Starfinder's Flip Tile Space Station Emergency Expansion provides beautifully illustrated 6-inch by 6-inch map tiles that can be used to enhance your station with a variety of battle damage, hazards, emergency lighting, and locations to explore. Inside you'll find 24 richly crafted double-sided map tiles. This expansion set, along with the Starfinder Flip Tiles Space Station Starter Set, allows you to create futuristic space habitats with endless variety. So stop your sketching and start your flipping today. The Space Station Emergency Expansion includes ceiling collapse, crumpled bulkhead, explosion, fire, electrical discharge, and hull breach. It says each double-sided tile makes changing the scene as easy as flipping a tile. And these 24 tiles only cost $19.99 US, so a decent price there. Now, before I started this video, I actually already took the tiles out of the box. The one thing I will say is that this is a thin box, so the tiles, it was a little bit to get them out the first time, and I will probably actually store these in the base set box because it is a larger box with a little bit more room. But like I said, I just took them out. I haven't done anything else with them yet, so let's give them a little bit of bend to help separate them because they've been pressed in that box for a while. So for those who like that sound, there you go. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to show the tiles here, both sides, and we'll just sort of go through them quickly. So starting with this one here, there's going to be quite a few that are going to be very similar looking because, again, it wants to give you enough that you can actually fill it in an environment. But this is just a corridor with some small rooms here and like the red alert or the alarm system going off. Also, each of these tiles are numbered. So this is SS101A, and then if you flip it over to the other side, it will be SS101B. So it does let you know which tile you're using. So if you are drawing out or laying out a larger map with these tiles, what you can do is on your graph paper, if you're using that, or you can just put on your notebook or whatever, you can just write down which tiles you put in which order, and it'll make it easier to sort of sort that out. So the second side here looks like we got some fire going on. And again, we got part of a larger room there. Some different room sizes, some doorways between them, and again, the alarm system going off. So that's really cool. Okay, and then we have another corridor here. This one has 6 smaller rooms instead of the 4 sort of slightly larger rooms. And again, we got electrical discharge going on that one. So that's pretty neat. Then we've got some like corners or like rounded corner corridors there. Again, with some rooms. So I think one side's pretty much just going to be like standard alarm, red alert stuff. And then the other side is, this one's actually a hull breach. So, you know, again, kind of scary. And while these ones may look similar, they all have different configurations for the smaller rooms. So like, for example, this has like the larger rounded section here, but it only has 2 rooms going off it, one just a 10 by 10 foot room, and then you got one that's much larger here. This one's a little bit bigger than that, and then this one is again. So they while there are similarities in the designs, which again makes sense because a lot of like space station designs tend to have a lot of similarities in each of the different decks or levels, but it is nice that they are again slightly different there as well. Okay, so here we got another corner one. Again, different size rooms. And then we just have a big old fire going on here as well. So again, if we wanted to, you could sort of line those up like that. Right, and then you've got the two different tiles going on. So again, you can connect them to make larger rooms. And I love the artwork on here as well. Like the alarm, the red lights for the alarm, you know, going off, and just the fire design. I don't know, just I think they did a really cool job with this. Right, up next we have some T-section hallways there. And then on the back, we have another electrical discharge. So we have another one here, but this one has the 2 doors spread apart, whereas the other one had the 2 doors in the center. So again, there is a nice little bit of just moderate differences. But again, typical space station plans would have very similar layouts in different levels of the station. And again, we got another hull breach there. Okay, so here we have some 4-way intersections. These ones have rounded corners. And again, just a big old fire going on there. Okay, another 4-way intersection. This one has like the angled, the slanted doors, so they're angled off instead of it being rounded. So again, just slightly different variation there. It's really late when I'm recording this, so I know there's a better term for it. Please don't question my vocabulary. It's just I'm really tired. So on the back here, we have a reactor that looks like it's going into sort of meltdown, which is also the same tile that we saw on the box. So that's pretty cool. Okay, here we have a 4-way intersection with looks like 2 elevators. And then on the back, we've got another big old hull breach. Or breach in the floor, I should say, maybe not necessarily hull breach. Okay, and then we got just a hallway piece here with fire going through it. And then on the back, we just have one of these corner rooms here. This one doesn't have any damage on it, so you can use it to fill out, again, one of those large rooms if you wanted to do that. Electrical discharge. Again, just sort of a standard hallway. Slightly different configuration than the last one. Straight hallway with some damage to the floors or collapsed ceilings. And then we've got, just again, the standard rooms there. So, a rounded corner with fire. And just an open room there. Rounded corner with electrical discharge. And just, again, another section to make out a larger room, like a loading bay or cargo bay, whatever you want to have there. And we got some damage to the floor. And then our the 3-way intersection, I guess you could say, with fire going through it. And then we have an airlock. So this one's, again, slightly different. So we have an airlock with some fire going on there. Electrical discharge. An airlock with, again, some electricity discharging from a conduit. Hull section, again, with some damage to the floor and walls. and then another breech with the airlock section there as well. So again, cool stuff. Four-way intersection. And this one's kind of neat, maybe like a power core or something like that. So they have like the catwalk maybe around it. So again, just sort of neat. Whoops. Electrical discharge on the four-way intersection. And then we have some terminals here that you could use. So these may be like control panels to try to shut down maybe the electrical discharge or to seal off a hall breach or something like that. So again, just kind of cool stuff to have there. Another four-way intersection with the breech there. And then just a big sort of a central room tile that you can have. Right, and then I have like a workstation that's on fire. And then you have what looks like, this might be like a medical bay actually. It looks like the beds and the terminal there, and that's just got electricity shooting out of it. So workstation with electrical discharge. And just another room with fire going on it there. So this could be like a cargo bay or whatever you want it to be. And then finally, we got the one with the breach in it. So again, the workstations where the floor itself is collapsed. And then you have another workstation here, one as well, with another collapsed floor on it. So there you go. Those are the tiles for the space station emergency flip tiles. And I mean, I think these are awesome. I love the artwork on them, and again, I love the versatility of these. They go really well with the standard tile set, but there's a lot that you can do with just this expansion. So just these tiles alone, you can do, like, so there's corridors, there's rooms, there's just big sort of areas that you can create, and then just use dry erase or red erase or whatever you want to use to sort of fill in the details. So there's a lot that you can do with these. And again, for $20, you get 24 double-sided 6x6 tiles. So you basically get 48 different surfaces that you can use for 20 bucks. I mean, honestly, I think that that's a pretty decent deal. Now in Canada, it'd be a little bit more. It'd probably be around $25 to $30 range. But even at $30, it's still, you know, in my opinion, a pretty decent deal. So yeah, I love these. And as I said before, I think one of the best uses of these are for tables where, you know, everyone's sitting around, but you don't have a lot of space. Like when I was running games from home before the pandemic and everything, I've got a full-size kitchen table with a leaf put into it that I was running my games at. And even then, just having people sitting around, there still wasn't a ton of space to put out like full-size maps. So these things are fantastic for that because I can just put in enough to make a little bit of an area that people can sort of move through. And then as the need arises, you can remove a tile and put another one down. And like I said, they are also all numbered with like the number and the side of A and B. So it's easy to keep track of if you end up having like backtrack or anything like that. So I think, again, it's really, really well done. Each of the tiles is, again, very well illustrated. And even though a lot of them on the surface seem very similar, the fact of the matter is that no two of these tiles are the exact same. There are subtle differences between each one, which again feels realistic for a space station. I mean, I just look at, like, for example, I live in an apartment building, and each floor looks the exact same, you know, in terms of layout and everything. So like every 3-bedroom apartment has the same layout. You know, the hallways look the same. So it makes sense that, you know, they would sort of have some similarity to them. But again, the people at Paizo still made the effort to distinguish each one, even if it's just a slight variation. And maybe, you know, again, a corner is angled off or rounded off or square. But it's just, to me, it's a really important attention to detail that just shows, again, that little bit of willingness to go a little bit above and beyond. So, again, fantastic stuff. And if you're into Starfinder, or, again, if you are running any sort of science fiction or science fantasy role-playing game and you're using minis to represent your players and your creatures in combat scenarios, this is a useful product. So while ideally you'd be wanting to use this specifically with your Starfinder products, if you are running other RPGs that take place in space or just have this sort of aesthetic to it, then these are absolutely useful for you as well. So again, it's something that transcends just the one RPG that it was designed for. And I think that that's another important thing to take into consideration as well. So if any of you watching have used these tiles in the past, including the Starfinder ones or the Pathfinder equivalents, let me know in the comments below what some of the like styles of maps that you were able to make with them and how your experiences with that went. So thanks again to Paizo for sending this to me. And thank you everyone who has taken time out of your day to watch this video. Hopefully you give these a look at your local gaming store. So thanks again for everything and all your support. It means the world to me, and I will see you next time. Take care.